The stone city of Machu Picchu is one of the most fascinating archaeological sites on the planet.
High in the mysterious Andes Mountains lie ruins that defy logic. Ancient stone walls so perfectly carved, even modern engineers are baffled. How were these megalithic structures built? Long before advanced tools or technology existed? Were they the work of a forgotten civilization or something far more extraordinary? Today, we uncover the hidden secrets behind Peru's most impossible ruins and the shocking truth buried beneath centuries of mystery. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep look into the world's greatest ancient enigmas. The enigma of the Andes. What we see today. High above the cloud line, where the thin air bites and the mountains stretch like sleeping giants, lies a mystery carved in stone. At first glance, the massive walls of Sacsayhuamán, perched above the ancient city of Cusco, seem like relics of another age. But step closer, and the enigma deepens. Immense blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, are locked together with precision that seems beyond even modern construction. No mortar, no wiggle room, just seamless, interlocking perfection that has stood unshaken for centuries through floods, invasions, and earthquakes that have reduced entire cities to rubble. Travel further to Ollantaytambo, and the riddle intensifies. At nearly 9,200 feet above sea level, this fortress temple complex holds stones so massive that engineers today admit it would be a challenge to move them with modern cranes. These monoliths were somehow quarried, shaped, and hauled uphill through steep, rugged terrain without wheels, steel, or even written language. The sight is more than a marvel. It's a defiance of logic. Then there's Machu Picchu, the jewel of the Inca Empire, often admired for its beauty, but rarely understood for its impossible construction. Built on a razor-thin mountain ridge prone to landslides and earthquakes, the city rests atop a web of terraces and drainage systems that show not just engineering know-how, but long-term environmental planning. The stones here, too, are perfectly cut and joined. Even under microscope-level scrutiny, some seams are so tight that not even a human hair can slip through. Everywhere in these ruins, there's a pattern. Advanced design principles, meticulous craftsmanship, and megalithic stones that had to be moved and placed with a precision we associate with digital machines, not primitive tools. What makes this more than awe-inspiring is the choice of material. These structures aren't made of soft limestone or clay. Many are constructed from diorite and andesite, stones so hard they rank just below diamond on the Mohs hardness scale. Yet the ancient builders shaped them with curves, angles, and joints that appear melted or molded, something not possible with the bronze or copper tools known to exist at the time. Modern geologists and surveyors have taken measurements, traced quarries miles away, and tried to reconstruct the logistics. But even with all our cranes, trucks, and lasers, the process of cutting, transporting, and fitting these stones remains almost entirely unexplained. The quarries for Sacsayhuamán, for instance, lie several kilometers away, and the route includes deep ravines, sharp inclines, and no flat roads. There are no records of wheels, draft animals capable of such loads, or advanced tools, just stone placed against stone with almost supernatural perfection. Even more astonishing is how these ancient ruins have survived countless centuries of earthquakes. Peru lies directly on a fault line, and powerful quakes have shaken its cities again and again. Spanish colonial buildings, constructed long after using European masonry, collapsed under the same forces. But these ancient megalithic walls, they bent but never broke, as if purposefully built to endure the Earth's violent tremors. This wasn't luck. It was brilliant engineering. The deeper you travel into the Andes, the more wonders you uncover. Hidden across the mountains are dozens of lesser-known sites. Pisac, Taipon, Moray, all sharing the same remarkable traits. Seamless stonework, sky-high construction, and mysterious stone shaping that seems almost impossible. Every location, no matter how isolated, bears the clear mark of an intelligence that deeply understood landscape, time, and materials, far beyond what traditional history credits to ancient people of the region. The size, accuracy, and sophistication of these works shatter every ordinary idea of what ancient civilizations could achieve. This isn't about crude huts or simple pyramids. This is something entirely different. A distinct architectural signature that whispers of lost knowledge or a level of intelligence far more advanced than we've been taught to believe. So, how did they do it? How were these colossal stones carved, moved, and fitted together with such perfect precision, without the modern tools, methods, or machines we depend on today? Impossible engineering. The facts defying human effort. Stand before the towering megalithic walls of Sacsayhuamán or the Sun Temple of Ollantaytambo, and one question immediately floods the mind. How? Not just how incredible, but literally, how was this even done? Because no matter how far you dig through textbooks, engineering guides, or historical accounts, there are no solid answers. What we do have are the stones themselves, their size, shape, weight, and geometry, all physical evidence that completely challenges what we think we know about ancient construction. Let's start with the scale. Some stones in Peru's highlands weigh between 50 and 120 tons, with a few surpassing 200 tons. These massive blocks weren't carved where they stand. They were transported from quarries miles away, and not over flat ground, but through rugged mountain terrain, across rivers, and up steep slopes. There's no trace of wheels, no animals strong enough to carry such loads, and no signs of the complex roads or ramps that would have been needed to drag them on sleds. But what's even more astonishing is what happened after the stones arrived. The builders didn't just pile them up. They shaped each one like a piece of a colossal puzzle, carving intricate angles and multi-sided faces that interlock with stunning precision. At Sacsayhuamán, some stones connect with as many as 12 others, fitting so tightly that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. No mortar was used, yet the walls have stood for centuries without shifting an inch. During massive earthquakes that leveled colonial churches, these ancient walls simply flexed and absorbed the shock, as if designed with modern knowledge of seismic forces. This technique, called polygonal masonry, stands apart from anything in classical architecture. Modern engineers who've studied these sites admit that recreating this work today would be an enormous technical and financial challenge. Even with cranes, diamond-tipped saws, and computer-aided design. Then comes the most puzzling part, the tools. The Incas, and those before them, are believed to have only had tools made of bronze or copper. Yet the stones they shaped, andesite, diorite, and granite, are much harder than these metals. In today's terms, it would be like trying to carve glass using a plastic spoon. Geologists point out that working with diorite requires tools of equal or greater hardness, yet no such tools, forges, or metal residues have ever been found. Even the cutting marks defy logic. Some stones show long, smooth lines that look like the result of modern saws. Others feature perfectly flat planes and sharp 90-degree edges, as if they'd been milled by industrial machinery. In some places, it appears as though the stone was softened or molded rather than carved. Take the famous Stone of 12 Angles in Cusco, It fits into its surrounding stones with such intricate perfection that many believe it wasn't chiseled, but shaped while soft, almost like clay. Yet no known natural process or chemical reaction can soften andesite or diorite without the use of intense heat or acid, neither of which existed in ancient Peru. And still, the stones are there, silently challenging explanation. Some researchers have speculated that ancient builders may have known a lost technique, perhaps something that temporarily altered the molecular structure of rock. Others have suggested the use of sound frequencies, extreme heat, or even unknown plant-based compounds. Early 20th century explorer Percy Fawcett heard Amazonian legends of a plant that could soften stone, and similar tales persist among local tribes. But so far, science has found no definitive proof. The mysteries deepen further. At Ollantaytambo, some stones bear what appear to be drill holes and recessed notches that look machine-made. At Sacsayhuamán, several stones feature smooth, scoop-like impressions, as though chunks were carved out with a massive rotary tool. These patterns don't match the rough hammering expected from primitive hand tools. Yet beyond their impossible construction, these sites are brilliantly designed. They aren't just beautiful, they're functional. Drainage systems, slope alignments, and water channels are seamlessly integrated into the stonework. The terraces serve as natural flood controls, channeling rainwater and preventing erosion. At Machu Picchu, the ancient water system still works flawlessly today. Such planning reveals a deep understanding of geology, engineering, and environmental balance. Some argue that it all came down to sheer manpower and clever techniques. But that explanation quickly falls apart. With the tools and resources available, these constructions would have taken multiple lifetimes to finish. The Inca Empire, which rose in the 13th century, simply didn't have that much time. And more tellingly, they never claimed to have built them. In their own legends, they inherited these monuments from a much older civilization. The more you look, the harder it becomes to dismiss. These were not the products of chance, brute force, or guesswork. They were planned, engineered, and executed with knowledge far ahead of their era, perhaps even ahead of ours. So, if the tools don't fit, and the timeline doesn't match, what does science say? What happens when archaeologists, geologists, and engineers start examining these mysteries under the microscope of modern technology? What ancient records and science? Save for all the mystery that surrounds Peru's megalithic ruins, perhaps the most overlooked truth is this: the Inca themselves never claimed to have built them. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 16th century and marveled at the immense stone walls of Cusco and Sacsayhuamán, they asked the Inca how such astonishing feats were accomplished. The answer was always the same: these were here before us. The Inca were remarkable builders in their own right. They constructed vast road networks, elegant temples, and incredible terraces. But their stonework, while highly skilled, doesn't compare to the older, larger, and more precisely cut stones found beneath many of their sacred sites. Across Peru, you can see this layered history in the architecture itself. Inca walls resting atop even older foundations. The story those stones tell is silent, but undeniable. What came first was stronger, smarter, and more advanced. So what does science have to say? Dating stone directly is impossible with carbon-based techniques like radiocarbon dating, since stone has no organic material. Instead, archaeologists date the organic remains, wood, charcoal, or bone, found in or around the construction layers. And when they do, the results often clash with the accepted history. In multiple sites, materials found near the base of ancient walls have tested thousands of years older than the Inca Empire. Some evidence points to advanced human activity in the Andes as far back as 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, possibly even earlier. While that doesn't definitively reveal who built the megaliths, it strongly suggests that advanced builders were here long before the Inca. Geologists have also joined the investigation. Their studies of the stone types used at key sites reveal astonishing logistics. Many of the massive blocks at Ollantaytambo, for example, were quarried across a river and up a steep mountainside, several kilometers away. Moving stones weighing tens or even hundreds of tons through that rugged landscape, without wheels, cranes, or modern machinery, is a challenge even today. Terrain analysis shows no evidence of large roads, ramps, or devices that could explain such movement. The geography itself seems to rule out traditional methods. Then there's the puzzle of the tool marks, or the strange absence of them. Under microscopic examination, certain stone surfaces appear unnaturally smooth, as though machined or polished. Others bear fine grooves suggesting high-speed cutting, something far beyond the capability of bronze or stone tools. A 2022 peer-reviewed geoscience study analyzed surface grooves at several Peruvian sites and concluded they could not have been made with conventional chiseling. The authors stopped short of claiming an unknown technology, but their conclusion was clear. Further investigation into unknown methods of stone shaping is required. Modern technology is also rewriting what we know about these ancient places. Satellite imaging and LiDAR scans are revealing a hidden world beneath the Earth's surface, geometric layouts, buried terraces, and even vast underground chambers. Some of these subsurface structures perfectly mirror the shapes and alignments of the visible ruins, hinting at a far more organized and sophisticated urban design than previously imagined. At Sacsayhuamán, LiDAR has detected tunnels and large cavities beneath the fortress, possibly chambers or hydraulic systems that have yet to be explored. If verified, this would mean that what we see above ground is only a fraction of an enormous engineered complex. And then there are the astronomical alignments, patterns so precise they defy coincidence. Sites like Machu Picchu and the Coricancha Temple in Cusco are aligned exactly with solstices, equinoxes, and other celestial events. The Coricancha's megalithic base, for instance, lines up with the June solstice sunrise to within a fraction of a degree. Such accuracy requires not only deep astronomical knowledge, but mathematical precision and architectural mastery. No guesswork, no trial and error, just pure calculation. In recent years, even some mainstream archaeologists have begun to question the official timeline. In 2024, a roundtable at the University of San Marcos in Lima brought together experts in archaeology, geology, and engineering. Several participants acknowledged a growing realization. Many aspects of these sites remain unexplained by conventional history. These aren't fringe voices. They're respected researchers following the evidence wherever it leads. The true mystery, then, isn't just who built these megalithic marvels, but how they did it. With no modern tools, no advanced technology, and, apparently, knowledge far beyond what history currently allows. If the dates don't fit, if the tools don't exist, and if the Inca didn't build them, then who did? And how did they achieve a level of engineering that still challenges us today? Beyond human capability, theories grounded in reality. By now, one thing is undeniable. The megalithic ruins of Peru stretch far beyond what traditional history tells us ancient humans could achieve. The stones are impossibly large, the cuts astonishingly precise, and the engineering astonishingly advanced. So if the Inca didn't build these massive foundations, and if even our modern tools would struggle to reproduce them, then who did? Finding the real answer starts with setting aside old assumptions. For over a century, mainstream archaeology has viewed human progress as a straight, predictable line, from primitive to advanced. But what if history isn't so linear? What if, scattered across time, there were isolated civilizations that reached extraordinary levels of knowledge, only to vanish, leaving behind fragments of their genius? A growing number of researchers, both academic and independent, now propose that a pre-Incan civilization with exceptional technical understanding may once have thrived in the Andes, long before recorded history. This doesn't necessarily imply futuristic machines or lasers, but rather a deep mastery of materials, physics, astronomy, and natural forces. According to this theory, these ancient builders may have developed a now-lost method of working with stone, something that allowed them to alter or shape it at a molecular level. Whether through vibration, heat, or plant-based chemistry, the evidence suggests they possessed techniques capable of manipulating some of the hardest stones on Earth with uncanny precision. And this idea isn't without parallels. Around the world, in Baalbek in Lebanon, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, and the Great Pyramids in Egypt, we see the same recurring patterns: massive stones, flawless alignments, and missing explanations. These sites are separated by continents and millennia, yet they share what seems like a common architectural fingerprint, as if variations of the same lost science were applied by different cultures. It's no coincidence that myths from nearly every ancient society tell of those who came before, of golden ages destroyed by floods or cataclysms. The Incas spoke of Viracocha, a godlike being who appeared after a great flood to rebuild civilization with mysterious powers. The Greeks wrote of Atlantis, and the Sumerians told of advanced beings in the Epic of Gilgamesh. These legends, while not literal histories, could be echoes of a shared memory, a time when advanced knowledge was nearly wiped from the earth. If such a cataclysm did occur, a natural disaster of global scale, it might have erased entire civilizations, leaving behind only what could survive the ages: stone. Stone doesn't burn, rust, or decay. It endures. Perhaps the megalithic ruins we marvel at today are the last surviving traces of that forgotten world, foundations of a civilization lost to time, with its knowledge encoded in geometry and rock. As wild as that sounds, modern science is beginning to entertain similar possibilities. In 2023, researchers at the University of Oxford published a paper exploring the concept of technological amnesia, the idea that advanced techniques can disappear from human memory after collapse, migration, or catastrophe. They used Peru's megalithic sites as a case study, suggesting that ancient stone-shaping methods may once have existed but were lost through time and cultural disruption. Another fascinating angle is acoustic engineering. At sites like Ollantaytambo and the Temple of the Sun, researchers have observed strange echo effects, where claps, chants, or voices rebound with unnatural clarity. Some scientists now wonder if this acoustic precision was intentional, perhaps even functional. Could ancient builders have harnessed sound not just for ritual, but as a working tool? Experiments in modern laboratories show that sound frequencies, under specific conditions, can move, fracture, or even levitate small objects. Remarkably, legends from many ancient cultures speak of tones or songs capable of moving stone, a poetic echo of what might once have been real. Then there's the magnetic hypothesis. At several ancient Peruvian sites, stones exhibit subtle magnetic anomalies. Some researchers propose that the builders may have understood natural magnetism well enough to use it to balance or manipulate heavy stone blocks. It's still a speculative field, but the repeating magnetic patterns are undeniable, and they beg for deeper investigation. None of these theories require aliens, magic, or science fiction. Instead, they suggest something far more profound: that human history is older, deeper, and more complex than we've been led to believe. Advanced knowledge doesn't always announce itself with skyscrapers or steel. It can exist quietly, expressed through harmony with nature, encoded in architecture, and eventually buried beneath time. If these ancient builders weren't primitive, and if their techniques weren't impossible, then maybe the real mystery isn't the ruins themselves. Maybe it's us, our limited understanding of a world that once knew far more than we remember. Have you ever been to Peru or seen these incredible places in person? Did you feel the same sense of wonder standing before those ancient stones? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more deep dives into the world's greatest ancient mysteries.